Do you know what it does? What? Right, but what does distance mean? Far. So how far something is from each other, or the length of it. So you'll see it two ways. It's gonna ask you how far is it from me to Seth. Right? How far is it? That can also be described as the length of the line segment connecting us two. So depending on what adjective they use, that is a word that describes something, the length or the distance, you're probably going to use the distance formula. All right? The distance formula in itself is kind of a monster, right? A lot of different things here. This is the square root of parentheses x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Yikes, yuck, disgusting. But there is another way, and I will show you both ways. You can pick which way you like the best. All right? So given 2 points, you can use the distance formula. So we're going to jump right into it. It says find the distance between each pair of points. If necessary, round to the nearest tenth. So first stumbling block, nearest tenth. How many decimals is that? Yeah. 1, 2, or 3 decimals? 1. Tenth is 1 decimal, so like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 would be to the nearest tenth. So we have the distance formula down here, and it's our job to fill that out correctly. So just like we did with slope, you can identify your x1 and y1. Your x2 and your y2. Let me fix this real quick. Oh no. Oh, here we go. I clicked the wrong button.
I believe in you.
You do it. You did it. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to plug that into this formula. I like to draw a big radical. Make sure that you know it is x2 minus x1 squared. So parentheses x2 minus x1 squared. So that's 5 minus 0, the quantity squared, plus y2 minus y1 squared, which would be 12 minus 0 squared. Okay, that in itself is demonstrating knowledge of the geometric concept. If you can do that, I'm happy. Basic. Step 1. If you can do step 1, you can get the answer right. But today, we're going to math it out real quick. So, do everything like PEMDAS says. 5 minus 0. 5. So, I have 5 squared plus 12 minus 0. 12 squared. Keep PEMDASing. You must use the exponents. 5 squared. 12 squared. 144. Keep PEMDASing. Add the stuff together under the radical. 25 plus 144. 169. And then you must take the square root of 169. 13. All that math and we get the number 13. 13 is the distance from A to B. It is 13 units away. Hooray, right?
So what do you put for like the sign?
What do you mean?
You know how you like put feet and stuff like that?
There is no units here. It's just 13. It's just 13. Okay? So, like I said, if you can get to this step right here, that would be considered today showing your work. And let me demonstrate why that is showing your work. Because you can open up your handy dandy calculator. And I'm going to type in exactly what I had. The square root of, so that's control x squared. The square root of, everything must be under the radical or the square root symbol. And you type in exactly what you see. Parentheses. 5 minus 0. Close parentheses. Squared. Plus.
Parentheses. 12 minus 0 and squared.
Is that what you have on your paper? Hooray. All you gotta do, boom. And it says 13.
Wait.
So can we use photo map?
No. There are no cell phones allowed on your test. You have calculator. It will do it faster and more efficiently than PhotoMap. Questions? So, if your calculator is only as smart as the person using it, if you mistakenly put in a negative symbol instead of a minus symbol, it will not work. If you mistakenly get out of the radical on accident, if you do something like this, control x squared, which is the square root, and you do parentheses 5 minus 0 squared, and then you hit the over arrow for some reason. I don't know why you would do that. And you do plus parentheses 12 minus 0. Alright, does that look like what you have on your paper where the radical stops halfway? So y'all will do that on accident, and then you'll hit the enter button, and it's like, oh, error, I can't do it, I'm stupid. Okay? Your calculator doesn't know how to do that. And it will return an error. So it has to look exactly like it does on your paper. Alright? So there's one option, actually using the distance formula. The other option, which scares me, you can plot the 2 points. You have 0, 0 right here, and you have 5, 12 over 5 up 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, and you could draw a right triangle. So this is 5, and this is 12, and you could use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You could do Pythagorean theorem. Is anybody going to do that? Okay, I'm not even going to show you. Huh?
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm asking you, are you going to do that for these problems? Or are you going to use calculator to do the distance formula?
I might. Depending on the problem, how it looks.
Okay. Let's try it again. Not so nice numbers this time. They're not just a 0, 0 and a 5, 12. Now we have what you would actually see on your test. So we have to fill out our distance formula. That is showing our work. We have to fill in our x2 and our x1. So what is your x2 value?
1.
Oh God, 13, 9, unicorns,
Oh.
toothpaste,
Oh.
right? x1,
Oh.
y1, x2, y2.
Oh.
So x2 is, our second x coordinate is 1. Our first x coordinate is -2. Our second y coordinate is 7. Our first y coordinate is 3. So if you get that down, and you get that down correctly, you have the ability to attempt to type that in your calculator. I'm going to hand math it, and then we're going to calculator math it, and we're going to make sure that our answers work. So if you want to work ahead of me, I can't stop you. Everything under the radical gets math first. 1 minus negative 2 is 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. Apply the exponent. 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 16 is 25. Find the square root of 25. The answer is 5. The distance between x and y is 5 units. Okay? If you wanted to check that in your calculator, anybody try that and get a mistake? So to find the square root, control x squared, parentheses, 1 minus negative 2, close parentheses, squared, plus, open parentheses. What was the other one? 7 minus 3, close parentheses, squared. So if you type it in correctly and you have minus and negative, you can leave it just like that. It gives you back the number 5.
That's what I was about to ask you. So we got square root of 25. Actually, do you want to simplify?
Yeah, it needs to simplify to a decimal. I don't want any radicals. The square root of 25 is not the answer. There's still more math can occur there. Okay? Alright, try it again. Thank you. Is anybody hand mathing this, or is everyone using their calculator?
Hand math.
You're hand mathing?
Yeah.
Okay. So, help me fill it out.
Square root with negative
5
25.
minus negative 8 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared. Okay, you guys have to be able to fill it out correctly in order to use your calculator and attempt to math it correctly. 5 minus negative 8 is 13. 4 minus 3. What? So 13 squared is 169. 1 squared? 1. 169 plus 1. Good job. The square root of 170.
28,000.
It's 13 point something. 13.9 something. It's really high.
13.0384.
Yeah, zeros.
13.
Just keep it the same, man.
13
17 times 10.
You rounded up to the nearest one.
to the nearest 10. So our answer is 13. Here's why. Allow me to show everybody. The square root of 5 minus negative 8 squared plus 4 minus 3 squared. 13.03. Okay, is that closer to 13 or 13.1? It's closer to 13, so I write the answer 13. Okay, it's to the nearest 10. That's all you got to do there. You're done. So this is our first instance where we have a decimal. So it needs to be 13 point something. It's either 0.0 or 0.1. And I'll make sure in your test it's a nice round number so there's no issues with rounding. So phase 2. In phase 1, I gave you the points. In phase 2, you must identify the points yourself. It says find the length of AB. So you must find A and identify its coordinate location correctly. You must find B and identify its coordinate location correctly. I will pause and wait for you to tell me where A is and where B is.
A is 0, 8.
A is 0, 8. Incorrect.
8, 0.
Incorrect.
0, comma.
Incorrect.
0,
0, comma, negative 8.
See, I knew it was 8, but I didn't know.
Right, and that's the issue. You have to identify the point correctly. 0, negative 8. That is the only place where A lives. Let's try B.
Five,
5, 9.
yeah, can't really see it.
Okay, so the struggle is real. I know it's a really tiny picture. Now we must attempt to find the distance between those 2 points. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2.
9, subtract negative 8.
9,
Wait, my fault. 9, subtract 5.
what? 5 minus 0.
Oh,
x2 minus x1. 9 minus negative 8. At that point, you can go to your old friend, the math machine, the calculator, and hope he gives you the right answer. I'll hand math it just to show you.
7.
You get 5 squared plus 17 squared. I don't know, 289. 314?
I think so.
I need you to know so.
I don't have a calculator.
314. And then we get to take the square root of 314. 17. 17.72. So there's 17.7. Because it's the nearest one decimal. So it's the nearest one decimal. I'm going to skip a few steps here. I'm just going to do the square root of 5 squared plus 17 squared because I don't remember all the numbers. And you get 17.72. Is that closer to 17.7 or 17.8? Closer to 17.7. So that's the number we're going to use. Nearest tenth, not nearest whole number. Find the location or find the length of DC. So you must find D and find C and identify their coordinate locations correctly.
Negative 8, 8. Seven, 6.
7, negative 6.
6, yeah.
So 7 minus negative 8, that'd be x2 minus x1, and negative 6 minus 6 would be y2 minus y1. 7 minus negative 8 is 15. Negative 6 minus 6 is 12. $225 plus 144, which would be 369. $19. Point two. 19.2. So second one, 7 minus negative 8 and negative 6 minus 6. $19.2 on the nose. So 0.20 is closer to 0.20. Alright, that's good. You feel good about that? So this question is here to talk about this. If I find the midpoint, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the midpoint would be right here. That was kind of yesterday's learning, right? Finding the point halfway between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So halfway is right here. And if I find the midpoint of this piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It creates four triangles that are all exactly the same size by plotting midpoints. So that's where we're going Monday. Those things are called mid-segments. We're going to talk about mid-segments on Monday by folding paper, not doing any math. And then you'll see what it does and how cool it is. Alright? So I'm going to give you guys a short assignment today. Not out of the book.